On the Road with Kelly and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last. Coming up on this episode,
we live life to the T. We live life to understanding that we're not purpose, but we're purposeful.
Hi, we're Kelly
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination. Thanks so much for joining us for this edition of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Bob. Okay, when we first met and we went to lunch and you ordered iced tea to drink.
Absolutely. I grew up with my mom being an artist, and the first thing she did every morning was make tea, and she would drink it all day long.
I grew up in a house where we always had tea. Now, granted, when I was little, it was sweet tea. And I'll tell you this real quick. Back in the 70s at some point, I think it was like mid-70s, I remember the sugar companies all raised their prices, and there was this big boycott on sugar for a while. It was right before Thanksgiving, right before the holiday season. So I said, all right, I'm not going to drink any more sweet tea. And I started drinking it without sugar. It took me a little while to get to the point.
Understandable.
But I did, and now I can't drink sweet tea. It just, you know.
And you know, we hear all the time about, there are these coffee experts.
In America, there are a lot of people who know a lot about coffee, but tea experts aren't something we hear about every day. But one of the things, when we sat down with this guy, we soon discovered that this story, it didn't have all that much to do with tea. What kind of tea are you making right now?
This morning, I think I'm going to do one that's not really a true tea.
There we were, sitting on a couch in the front window of a cute little store at 406 East Oglethorpe in Savannah, Georgia, with proprietor Wayne Ashford brewing a pot of tea for us to share.
Though from the start, we found out that our tea, according to the tea expert, wasn't really a tea at all, but a tisane, or what most Americans would call an herbal tea.
I believe that the tisanes and the herbals are the only teas or tisanes that you should boil water for. The other types of teas, I believe, should be all under a boil. So I have electric boilers that I can actually navigate the tea temperature. So this one is a 212 boil. So the water is boiled, and then so I'm putting it into this tea steeper. So when I say steep the tea is like brew the coffee. I am a true tea expert of true teas, which is whites, greens, oolongs, blacks. But some herbalists will differ with me on the steeping time or the minimum time of steeping herbal teas. I believe herbal teas should be steeped for a minimum of 7 minutes and for a maximum of 10. But some herbalists will say 5 minutes to 7 minutes. I don't think 5 minutes is enough for a herb. Then it differs from true tea. It differs from the white to the green to the oolong to the black of the steeping time.
Now we were learning a lot about tea. Maybe more than we really needed or wanted to know.
But hey, we are the visitors here, and we asked Wayne to tell us about tea. Little did we know how much more than the boiling and steeping time of tea we were about to learn.
We're here to educate you on why tea and also kind of enhance your lifestyle of being well and being mindful and being healthy. I was born in a small town in Mississippi called Crawford, Mississippi. But we left there right before I don't even think I was 1 year old, and my dad moved north for a better life in a little place called Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's our tea right there.
Okay.
Go right ahead. Let's go get it.
So, and I can bring it over there.
Right.
Okay.
You can see, so it's ready. I'm gonna light my candle, and this is how my guests here have tea when they want a tea service for here, where I actually steep it for them.
And that's when we reached the moment where we figured out this really was not just about tea.
In fact, tea seemed to be the entry point, a mood setter for a much deeper conversation about life and how we choose to live it.
I grew across the country, in some places internationally, they want me to come and talk about what our slogan is and what I call live life to the T. Not live life perfectly, but live life with purpose. I grew up in a very frugal family. My parents really focused on the necessities of life, not the wants. My dad specifically gave me the tools to be able to understand what's a need and what's a want. And he really drove home is that everything that you ever want to be and everything that you want to do is really depends on how you take care of the necessities of life. The necessities of life. I wanted to change the legacy of health for me and my family because of what has happened in the past. You know, my father has health issues, my brother had health issues, you know, generations before that had health issues. So I studied with tea, I listened to music with tea, I had conversation with tea, I met new friends with tea. Even when I got into corporate America, I networked with tea. I made deals over tea. So it became that whole thing where it allowed me to stay in the present, but it also allowed the people who were partaking in tea to be in the present too as well. That's what this has all come from. So it evolved in that.
By the way, this tea is great.
Yeah.
I love the
Really,
aroma.
So this is what I call a true energy tea. It's not caffeine, it's not a drug, it's not going to enhance you like a drug. It's a true energy tea. I believe that we need to focus on being the best we can, and let's do that by start off with our health. And I really believe once you start focusing on your health, if that's a main priority, that all these other things that you so desire, all these other things that you want, will be a derivative, a byproduct of that. Because then you're consciously putting in this effort every day to do things that are going to continue to help you season well.
Wayne Ashford wants all of us to live our best lives. He wants us to give thought to what we do and why we do it, to live purposefully instead of reactionary. He wants us to think about things like what we put into our bodies and what those things do for or against us.
And he wants us to carve out time in our lives each and every day to think about all of this. And he says there is no better way to do it than over a cup of tea.
I'm living my dream. But the dream has been manifested from the efforts that I put in. And I believe we all have these dreams, maybe not as pronounced as what mine was. I think sometimes we have to go on also an experimental journey and figure it out too as well. But mine came early, so my commitment to being my best came early. Because I figured that these dreams had to mean something because he gave them to me on a consistent basis. And so that's what this life is all about. Until you can take responsibility for the things that haunt you the most, the pains that you deal with, till you can see what your role in it, even if it's just looking at it in a very, jaded aspect of it, then nothing changes. Nothing changes. You go from one pain to the next, and each of them build up, and then the next thing you know, this journey of life is coming to an end, and you wish you would have done all these things. That's not where I want to be when Gabriel blows his horn. And I'm there, and I say this all the time. I'm the happiest that I ever been in my life.
And knowing that Wayne Ashford is happy makes Kelly and me happy, too. Let me tell you, this guy is a real philosopher about life. We probably sat and had tea and conversation with him for a lot longer than most of the conversations we have when we're out doing, and they can be pretty long, but this one it pretty much took up the whole morning, just sitting and talking to him because he had so many great things to say.
one summer day I had gotten in trouble, and kids never remember what they got in trouble for. They just know they got in trouble, at least for me anyway. I got in trouble, and one of the punishment my mother gave me was that summer day was that I could not ride my bike all over the neighborhood. I normally get on my bike in the early morning and gone. So I had to stay out in front of the house. I couldn't go 2 blocks one way or the other.
That's some punishment.
That
too,
was some punishment. Don't
Back
remember
then.
what I got in trouble for, but it was some
Must have been bad.
But for my mother aspect, it was a tough one. That was a tough one. So that day, she was making sun tea. Now she had made tea before, but I never knew how she really prepared this tea. So that day she was making sun tea. And so I was outside riding my bike, and she had this huge, like a gigantic mason jar with all these bags, in there filled with water. And she's looking up in the sky, looking for this perfect spot to put on the sidewalk, put this jug. And I'm asking her, well, Mom, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm making tea. She says, yeah, I'm making tea. So she finds a perfect spot, sits it down, and I'm riding my bike. And I'm out there watching this thing start to change colors and stuff like that. And she kept it out there late afternoon. She came out to get it. I followed her back in the house, and I was like, wow. Then she took all those bags out pretty much one at a time and squeezed each one of them back into the water, discarded the bag. And then this was the most wonderful thing she did. She put about 2 pounds of sugar in that. And it was one of the best drinks I ever had. But I had it before, but it even made it that much better just seeing the ritual or the process my mother went through to do it.
Is that where your love of tea began?
And so that's where my love of tea began. I tried coffee, because again, being a guy, you want to emulate your dad. And my dad drank his coffee strong and black. And he pre-warned me and said, hey, I don't know if you're going to like it. I asked to try it. He said, I don't know if you're going to like it. And then he was right, I didn't like it. And then he advised to put some cream and sugar in there. So I put a lot of cream, a lot of sugar. And he was right, I liked it better. And so, but once the cream and sugar wore off, that taste that I initially didn't like came back on my palate. And so to this day, my palate is very sensitive. I do not like anything to linger.
So you're not a coffee drinker at all?
No, not a coffee drinker. And I challenge most coffee drinkers, because again, I just want you to think. I'm not telling you how to think, I just want you to think. I challenge most coffee drinkers. I don't believe most coffee drinkers like coffee. I don't think they like it.
I think they like what it does to them.
I don't even think initially they like what it does to them, because they have to drink it first before they find out what it does to them, right? The people who love coffee are the ones who drink it black, because they don't need a disguise. The ones who don't love coffee is the ones who are the latte drinkers. That's what most people are, the latte drinkers. And
They add all that
it.
cream, all that
disguise it.
sugar.
I don't care what it can be from Istanbul and on the highest mountain, whatever, right? Some of the best coffee in the world, but it still has that taste. Once everything wears off, it leaves that taste, and it does all that stuff to you on the other side of it. And that's why I try to get people to understand. Coffee drinkers ask me this, so depending on the audience, they'll be like, Wayne or Mr. Ashford, so what are you trying to say? There's no place in this world for coffee? Is that what you're trying to say? And I say, oh, contrary, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying specifically, there's no place in my world for coffee.
Because this is your journey.
This is my journey, right?
Everybody's journey is different.
Everybody's journey is different. Your joy, your peace, and your love comes from the effort that you put out every day. Every day. And so how do you put forth that effort? If this is, depending on where you are, whether you believe in the Big Bang, whether you believe in a God, or you believe in Jesus Christ, or you believe in Jesus as a prophet and not the Son, whatever you believe in, and you believe in something bigger than yourself, it starts within you. It starts within you. So that's water, that's clean food, and I would debate outside of water, tea is that second most drank beverage that you should have.
Because
it's loaded with antioxidants. It actually, I really believe that tea is designed for us. If you look at the amino acid structure and the things that are in tea compared to other drinks, it pretty much almost plugs in with us one for one. So the polyphenols, the compounds, all those great things That we need that. We thrive off those things. And there's some beverages out there that will give you some of that, but I don't think they would give you that in the abundance of what true tea does. So I've been doing this almost 30 years. All this research is really, going toward tea as this beverage. And the world pretty much has known it. Americans have been a little late coming around on it. And so that's my mission, is to reintroduce this lost treasure of tea to Americans. But just imagine, if you conscientiously said, this is what I'm gonna eat. This is how I'm gonna eat. This is what I'm gonna exercise. This is what I'm gonna drink. This is how I'm gonna drink. This is how much I'm gonna drink. This is what I'm gonna, so just imagine, that's effort. And that all goes into that life that you live. It goes into that life that you live. There's 2 questions you have to ask yourself, and it may lead to 3. And one of the questions is again, we get back to that. Is it a need or is it a want? And if you know it's a need, then do it. Because you're gonna grow from it. Automatically. But if you can't put it, if you initially ask yourself that question and you can't put it into the need category, then ask yourself one more question. Will it allow me to grow? Will I become better as an individual if I do it? Will I become better as an individual if I do it? And if the answer is I will become better as an individual if I do it, then it's a need.
If we did that, what you're suggesting, if we put ourselves to that test, would we still have people who smoke, do drugs, any kind of destructive behavior? Would
Supersize all their meals.
Be minimized if we all went through these exercises?
So this is the thing. Social deterrence of health in our community is real, and there's a lot of different ways to try to get to it. But I think one of the things we have to be able to do is understand from a cultural aspect, from the genesis of it all, how are we influencing, teaching, demonstrating to the people we love the most of how to get to their peace, joy, and happiness.
And thanks for joining us again for this episode of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. Don't forget, you can listen to our podcast anywhere you get your podcast, or simply download that free Odyssey app and you can listen anytime, anywhere.